Mark here again, here for another chat. Today I wanted to have a little bit more of a chat about our crazy world. A little bit of trying to put forward suggestions as to how to improve things. But I suppose that all comes from pointing out a little bit more of what actually is, what's actually going on, I suppose, or a little bit of the nature of it. And I suppose we all know, if you're paying attention, from whether that's the trans movement to whether that's the woke side of our world, whether that's the climate change side of our world, or it's the government control, the authoritarian, or whether it's World Health or World Economic Forum, the world governments that are trying to run things in various fashions. And all those different things that are going on. Lots and lots of them out there. Probably some people that sit there thinking, okay, there's a whole heap of conspiracy theories, because they're much more involved in watching in some form or other the mainstream media. And straight up, I'm going to tell you, the mainstream media are lying to you in some form or other. Whether that's holding the truth or just bending the truth, or that straight up lying, that is what's actually happening. There is so much that's going on in our world, and the only honest thing I can say in that form is do some research. There's lots of different ways to do it. Yes, it's a bit hard, but actually that's a bit of the nature of this conversation. It's supposed to be hard. It's not bad that it's hard. It's only bad if you're not prepared to put the effort in. But I suppose I'd also like to say, from my perspective, me and Sam, we do sit outside the bubble a little bit. We run our own business. We live in a small country town, a decision we made to move to and to start off doing over 30 years ago. We already didn't like what the city was doing and the corporations and all the rest of it, and stepped away with it. And that was a long time ago, for us at least. That was a long time ago. So we sort of had a different perspective in some fashions, not to see, and I suppose I wanted to point that out a little bit. A lot of people that live in cities are brainwashed into thinking that this isn't so bad. Just trying to transit around a city with sitting at red lights for half the time you're doing anything, bottled with thousands of cars going in every which way, with the nonsensical way that so much of that stuff is laid out, and people's lives are spent more getting from A to B than actually getting anything done. People living a long way away from their work because this is where the housing development is, and this is where work is, and all this very, I suppose, a world that is more haphazard than logical. But inside that haphazardness, there's also stuff that's actually beating you down. The likes of traffic lights that take a absurd amount of time to change, and you're waiting there with no idea of when you're going to be able to go or not. The likes of speed signs that are randomly changing around the place until you know that route. You don't really know the speeds. The likes of multinovas, the flash for cash around the place. People called other things, but cameras, speeding cameras on the side of the road to catch people out, with more and more cameras showing up to watch you in your car when you're sitting at traffic lights, and all the things that are happening, let alone the amount of tracking that's going on with social media, with phones, and all the rest of it. There's a lot going on in that world, which is, to say at the least, oppressive. I notice from, the nature of the way people behave, the one of the things that I suppose that I'm leading into here is, to me, there's less and less personal responsibility that our world takes. And I'm trying to set up the fact that there is lots of things, there's lots of a tyranny of our modern societies that are distracting you. And whether that's crazy things happening in the news, or that's just dealing with the pressures of trying to go from A to B, or dealing with the new woke HR officer that's in your building, or whatever that is in that process, and the mess that the world goes at, how families are running, how schools are being treated, all that sort of stuff. It's certainly causing you, as the normal human, to be extremely distracted and then easily led. The thing, to the largest degree, I come into is this lack of personal responsibility that the world is starting to, well, not starting to, has been at for a long while. It's just getting worse. I believe that largely comes from this systematic breaking down of things. There's also our role models. The world's role models now are movie stars and sports stars, which are almost the least appropriate person or thing to be a role model. Unattainable goals, the likes of things that are said all the time in a positive way to children. You can be anything you want to be. No, you can't. You might be lucky enough to get to be what you want to be. There's going to be a lot of hard work and there's going to be a lot of luck involved, but there's also, to the majority, to the 99.999% of people, no, you can't be what you want to be. You can be as good as you are, work hard enough and are lucky enough to get to. We can't all be whether it's a movie star, not something that I'd be attracted to be, whether it's a movie star or it's a top politician or it's a top sports star. Every one of those things has had something that has worked for them, or multiple things that have worked for them in a big way to get to the top of that pile. Sometimes it's just pure ruthless behaviour, another thing I wouldn't aspire to, but it is the nature of our world. I suppose this also comes from this place of what we see in our society of the breaking down of our family system. It's not done in an obvious the family system's bad, although it's even is done that way. There is policies and things that say that. Those people who have been paying attention have seen those doctrines or those documents written out to say breaking down the nuclear family is a good thing to do. But largely it isn't done that way. It's done by, to start off with, the major fight that's been going on for so long is to take away any power from the man. Being a man is bad. And you can now see that in the kids of the world, that yes, it's become peculiar. There is the muscle man, which isn't being a man. That's a fair bit of vanity involved in working on the body, and I'm not going to take anything away from those people, but it is not the proud man that it used to be. It's not the father figure. It's not the strong one that did the work, that has the discipline, that has the structure, that is the masculine role in the nuclear family, in the modern family, well, in the old-fashioned family nowadays. Not to take away all the worth and the strength and the direction of the woman in the relationship, of equal importance. It isn't a power game, but there are stereotype roles that are there for a reason. They really help. They really make it forward to where it becomes so much better world. The world where our role model of your son was his father is not a horrible place to be, and yet that's been completely taken away. We have Hollywood, and we have Hollywood that want to tell us that a small girl is probably smarter than a 40-year-old or a 30-year-old or a 20-year-old or a 50-year-old male. They're probably smarter than them. They'll figure the problem out. The male won't. We have Hollywood that tells us that a 50-kilo girl can beat up a 120-kilo male because she's just more skilled. We have the advertising companies doing the same sort of thing. They'll tell you who's the one who will always work out the problem. It'll be the little girl or it'll be the woman, and the male will largely be a buffoon. This is being fed to everyone, so this breaks down the adult male as much as it confuses the child. Why would a young boy want to grow up to be a man if he's going to turn into a buffoon, or should just accept that he is a buffoon already? This is the most negative form of breaking down the family structure, breaking down our society, that is happening by advertisers, by governments, by Hollywood. It's really happening in front of us. It comes from, and this is a point, it actually comes from, they are actually part of this problem in the way of really hurting our family structure and that side of things. But it's more driven through the fact it's what sells, and it's what people are listening to, and people have been brainwashed into thinking is okay. My answer to that would be, it comes actually right back to personal responsibility. It comes back to actually being responsible about yourself, which means Rather than it's about me, 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 I need to get more, I need to be valued more, I'm a victim, so I need more, I need to get more power, so I'll be a victim and that'll give me more power in this conversation. And then that's a very cheap shot way around things. Well, it used to be. It used to be frowned on, and now it seems to be the biggest power play there is in the world. That is a complete lack of personal responsibility. With personal responsibility, you end up being the person who doesn't necessarily get the most, because your personal responsibility is to look after yours, whether that's your partner or that's your family or that's your community. It becomes more of your responsibility to look after them. That's personal responsibility. You're the one with personal responsibility more likely to do the discipline, which means that might mean that a child needs telling off. That might mean that your club needs to be, someone in your club needs to be picked on. That might mean that in the school address, you're the person that stands up and says the things that need to be said to the school board that's just gone woke and crazy. But personal responsibility, which will then grow into a responsible community. If we could conceivably get back to where our communities, now this used to be done in church groups, this used to be done in community of all forms, where there were people who took this on, where we looked to our elderly for wisdom. They weren't looking for sympathy. They had, yes, we're all going to get worn out, but they had respect. That works so much better than for sympathy. They also have, as they still have, wisdom. So they have lived a life. And not everybody gains wisdom. Some people manage to switch it all off somehow or other. But there is a whole heap of our elderly that have given up trying to talk because no one wants to listen to them. We should all be listening to them. And certainly your 13-year-old child, yes, a 13-year-old girl particularly, the hormones and where they're at, they are wired to carry on like they know everything. Super smart, super bright, but truthfully, they know very little. And that's the simple truth of it. Sorry if I just offended the 13-year-old child. They are no doubt learning very fast and they're very, very capable. They're designed to be that way. That's part of how Mother Nature made them. But compared to a 30-year-old, man or woman, they know less than half. It's as simple as that. It's a year's thing. As for how much we retain and how much we think about, how much we're able to help, that's about personal responsibility. What I'm saying is, and my positive bit of this conversation, is we as the conservative, we as the people that do have the knowledge, we need to gain more of a voice. We need to be more forceful, not aggressive, but we need to get things right by standing up for what's right. We need to stop listening to the lies. There isn't a case of right back to the speeding. Speeding kills, and now it's okay that they make billions of dollars a year out of cameras on the side of the road catching you do 1k over the limit. That's a lie. Now, speeding's one of the things, our firearms we're talking about here, but you pretty much look at anything that humans do and our big government is trying to take control. That is because, to the largest degree, we've sort of asked for it. We don't try anymore. We're not doing the discipline. Someone has to do it. So big government are being asked by us not doing things to do more. And they're taking more and more and more and more, and they're taking more control. And as George Orwell's book said, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. That's the path we're on. That's because we handed it over. Now, it's not going to be easy to take back, but it starts with getting louder. Be responsible. Be the best person you can be. And that doesn't mean get more, be wealthier. No, that means take more responsibility. To the largest degree, that's not about wealth at all. It's not about money. It's not about power. It's about being responsible. It's about holding people to account, holding yourself account first, and then work from there. Anyway, guys, that's that one. Hope it makes some sense. I know there's a billion things, billion rabbit holes we could go down further there, but I do believe that's a way to start to push further forward to get control again. And certainly you young men and women out there, this is a voice of thinking about it for a lot of years. And yes, you should be doing this too. You should be more responsible. Not trying to tell the world what to do. No, responsible about you. And then work from there. Guys, thanks for checking in. We'll catch you next time.